The Neighborhood Development Committee will now come to order. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman Schmidt.
Here.
Alderwoman Florida.
Present.
Alderman Moore. Alderman Cone.
Present.
Alderwoman Howard. Alderman Villa.
Here.
Alderwoman Hubbard.
Present.
Alderwoman Ingracia.
Present.
Chairman Ortman.
Present.
7 present, you have a quorum.
We're going to hear Board Bill 73. Alderwoman Davis first.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. Board Bill number 73 is a blighting and redevelopment plan for 3023 through 3025 Allen. It is currently a two-family unit that is going to be converted to one. It has, over the years, been attempted to be renovated and very, very poor work done, and it's been an eyesore on that corner for a while. So I had an opportunity to go and walk the property and also talk with the developer about his intent and looked at some of the things he planned to do in his renovation process. I'm pleased with it. I think Compton Heights will be pleased once it is completed. And I think most of what he is doing is going to really give it better eye appeal on the outside, which is really important. So I'm asking for a request for 5-year tax abatement.
Alderman Schmidt.
No questions.
Alderwoman Florida.
No questions.
Alderman Moore. Alderman Cohen.
I have a very dear friend of mine who just moved off of that block, and there are a few homes over there that are still a challenge, and this has been one of them. And I appreciate you working with the folks over there, because I know that they're really working their darndest to change that block around.
Yes, they are.
So thank you.
Thank you.
Alderman Villa.
I have to ask Marlene a question, otherwise she'd be disappointed. Is this a Finger Lake of the 19th Ward?
Absolutely not.
No, I just would have never guessed that that's 19, but that's why I came to the hearing today, to learn.
Well, it is strange that it is the 19th, but in redistricting, I have a little bit of everything now. Every ward, there was 7, 8, 6, 5. I have a little bit of all of them now.
Oh, thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Alderwoman Hubbard.
No question.
Alderwoman Ingracia. Hearing no other questions, I'll entertain a motion for Board Bill 73. Do you have that? We call the roll.
Alderman Schmidt.
Aye.
Alderwoman Florida.
Aye.
Alderman Moore. Alderman Cone.
Aye.
Alderwoman Howard. Alderman Villa.
Aye.
Alderwoman Hubbard.
Aye.
Alderwoman Ingracia.
Aye.
Chairman Ortman.
Aye.
7 aye votes do pass.
Board Bill 73 is out with a due pass.
Thank you very much.
Next, we're going to do Board Bill 72, Alderman Schmidt.
Have a committee serve for that deal.
They are.
The chairman is very familiar with this property. So first of all, I would move, if that's okay, Mr. Chairman, for consideration of committee substitute for Board Bill 72, so that we're not talking about Board Bill 72 without committee substitute.
Do I have a motion for previous roll?
Previous roll.
Hearing no objections, Board Bill, committee substitute, Board Bill 72 is in front of us. I was trying to find it.
Okay. So I can explain the difference in the original bill and the board bill substitute. We took out any of the parking issues with regard to the bill. Otherwise, it's exactly the same as before. So this is going to be a cargo texture restaurant. There used to be a what we affectionately call a greasy spoon restaurant on the corner. The building was owned by an attorney and fell, basically, and so was demolished a number of years ago. This was an LRA property. While it was also in the 9th Ward, and more recently, before it came into the 20th Ward, Mr. Dean purchased that lot and has determined that he would like to stack some cargo buildings there. This will be the first of its kind in the city if it's accomplished. I believe that there's some nice drawings in terms of what the plans are to do that, and as part of that, we are offering tax abatement, and that's what this provides.
Alderwoman Florida.
Yes, I read about this in the newspaper some weeks ago about this development and a cargo. Is it a mixed-use development?
No, it's just going to be a restaurant.
It is just going to be a restaurant?
Correct. No one will be living in it.
Okay, and what's the timeline?
I think he'd like to start as quickly as he can. In fact, normally he would go through, and we'll have to go through a conditional use process because there's also going to be carry out, but because he's had the support of the neighborhood and the alderman, he's prepared to go forward and then have the hearing subsequent to that.
And does the business have a name?
You know, it does, and I don't recall what the name is. He had one, and then I don't remember. I think he had decided to change it. I'm not sure if he shared what the name is.
Okay, and what is this technically called, this kind of development with cargo?
I call it cargo texture. So it's architecture
texture.
using the cargo.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, it's very exciting. I think
Yeah.
it's a wonderful fit for Cherokee. Thank you.
It does fit with Cherokee.
And how
You're
much does he plan
absolutely
on
right.
investing?
It's my understanding that he acquired the property for $5,000. He's spending $120,000 on it, at least that's what it says, and there will be 3 new full-time jobs and 20 part-time jobs as part of it. It's repurposed shipping containers, which basically means we're also recycling.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Alderman Cohen.
I think that this is a really wonderful project, and it's neat to see new methods of repurposing old items and bringing them back to life. So it's very cool.
He's not going to have any carbling at the top, Alderman. Other than that, it's thank you.
Alderman Villa.
Do those show what the cargo will look like?
Please?
Does it show you what the architecture is going to look like? Because he had some pretty substantial plans.
The Alderman, the 25th, held them so long, I don't know. It doesn't appear that they do, but if cargo were on here, I wouldn't recognize it, I guess.
So on railroad cars that then are attached many times to semi-tractor trailers, that sort of thing. So it's a cargo car. It's like a railroad car, and they're going to stack those together. But there's going to be some very nice tempered glass on the front of this, and they're going to redo it in terms of making it look appealing as a restaurant. So then in the front, they're going to have the fenced-off area and a very nice sort of patio in the front as well.
No questions, Mr. Chairman? Thank you.
Alderwoman Hubbard.
No question.
Alderwoman Ingracia.
No questions.
Hearing no other questions, I'll entertain a motion on committee substitute Board Bill 72.
Second, previous roll.
Hearing no objection to previous roll, Board Bill 72, committee substitute is out with a due pass recommendation.
I think that's fun. Seems like a residential development going up somewhere.
Yes, you
Okay.
made the motion.
Just checking.
Make sure it was the newest.
Alderwoman Hubbard? It's on top. I pulled it out. I took an extra one, so.
And for future reference, you just can't offer a substitute until the other one is before you, otherwise you have nothing to substitute for. We just did it wrong. You've got to get Board Bill 72 in front of you, then offer a substitute. You just can't offer.
Board Bill number 80, Alderman Ortman.
I'll send the pictures around. This is a completion of Orlando Askins. He's done 4 units now. This was a side yard to 2627. That's 2629, and he's building a 3-bedroom house. And it's a little bit further than that now, but with our time here, I mean, he's applied actually before he started it. He's just pretty fast, which I think we all know. So
My old girlfriend.
the acquisition cost, $35,000. Renovation cost is $357,000. Asking price for the unit is $357,000. On all the other 4 that he did, which were actually buildings that are restored, he got a little over $300,000 for each one. And we're asking for a 5-year tax abatement.
Alderman Schmidt.
No questions.
Alderwoman Florida.
No questions.
Alderman Cone. Alderman Villa.
No questions, Madam Chairman.
Alderwoman Ingracia.
No questions.
Hearing no other questions, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved. Second.
Hearing no objection to previous roll, Board Bill 80 is out with the, we need to vote on it, don't we? I'm sorry. We voted on, okay, previous row, okay. Board Bill 80 is out with the due pass recommendation. Getting used to that.
You're good.
Jennifer, I think you're the next one that's here. Board Bill 74, Alderwoman Florida.
Hold on.
And Sean?
Good. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. 381820 Arsenal is basically a renovation of a 4-family into rental units, but it is a gut rehab of a unit of a building that has been really run down for many years. The acquisition cost was $160,000. The construction cost is $215,000. They plan to rent the units at $800 a month. So the developer is Carriage House Holdings LLC, Gwen Cummings. And they are seeking historic tax credits.
Alderman Schmidt.
No questions.
Oh, excuse me. This is 5-year tax abatement. I'm
I
sorry.
know.
Okay.
It's on the bill.
Okay.
No questions.
Alderman Cohen.
No questions.
Alderman Villa.
Are there any pictures, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, there are. I'm so sorry. I'm failing to do my duty
My
here.
pictures are still here.
The way the pictures
I'm
on
sorry.
Marlene's
I'm sorry,
bill.
Alderman Villa.
I may have questions when I see them. Say 2 or 2-family?
No, it's still 4 units.
No questions, Mr. Chairman.
It's just a really large, it is a large 4-family.
Alderwoman Hubbard.
No question.
Alderwoman Ingracia.
No questions.
Hearing no other questions, I'll entertain a motion on Board Bill 74. Do I have a request for previous roll? Hearing no objection to previous roll, Board Bill 74 is out with a due pass. Board Bill 75, Alderwoman Florida. Pictures first.
Yes, sir. Thank you for reminding me. Board Bill 75 is the renovation of a single-family LRA building, 3433 McKean, in Tower Grove East neighborhood. The developer is Rubicon. They renovated a single-family, for-sale, low-mod income housing unit. The acquisition was $1,600. The development costs were $230,000, and I believe it's going to be sold for $135,000 because it's a low-mod for sale. So the family has to qualify for an income cap. This is actually a wonderful development because it's a quality, low-mod for-sale unit that had been vacant for many, many times and was in the LRA inventory.
Alderman Schmidt.
You have nicer LRA buildings than I do.
I'm sorry.
Alderman Cohen.
Well, maybe I'm not.
Is this property located near the home that was recently renovated over on McKean in Alaska or Arkansas?
McKean in Arkansas. So there's another two-family that'll remain rental at 3500 McKean, which was an even longer vacant building for many, many years.
That
Yep.
was a problem for a while, which is now a really beautiful rehab. Was Rubicon the same developer for
Yeah, we
that one as
packaged
well?
both these parcels to reduce the development
Okay,
costs.
Great, awesome, that's wonderful.
Alderman Villa.
Other than to make an observation, the front of the house doesn't look like the same house from the back.
I didn't take the pictures.
See what I mean? No, they're different. It's a different house. I don't care. I'm not a detective. What was the question?
Here, it's the back of this one.
The picture of the back.
I didn't take the pictures either, but, you know, it's not, I don't know, I have to look at the
Mr.
pictures.
Chairman, we can inform the man that took the pictures that he took the rear vision of the wrong house, the rear facade.
I'll send him an email this afternoon.
Thank you, Dan.
Okay.
Good catch.
Alderwoman Hubbard.
No question.
Alderwoman Ingracia.
No questions.
Hearing no other questions, I'll entertain a motion on Board Bill 75.
So moved.
Second.
Do I have a request for previous roll? Hearing no objections to previous roll, Board Bill 75 is out with a due pass.
Thank you.
And Alderwoman Young, Board Bill 77. Dale, whoever's gonna,
I didn't. I saw the front, not the back.
I may not be right.
There are two sets of pictures. That one. This is a property at 2017 Allen, and it's in the McKinley Heights neighborhood. It's another one by Orlando Askins, and it's a renovation of two-family, and it will be sold as a single family. He acquired it for $25,000. He's spending about $160,000 on it, and will market it at $219,000. So it's 2,500 square feet, 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath, 2 parking spaces. In a carport, which is sort of his signature in the back. And Alderwoman Young is supporting a 5-year tax abatement, which is included in the bill.
2017 Allen is not mine.
yeah,
That's the one we're talking about now, 2017
all we're
Allen.
doing now. That would be,
It is young,
it is Young.
but my name is on it.
Here.
Yeah, that's good. Just not on the bill. See, the bill says.
Yeah, that's wrong.
Oh, on the agenda it had that? Okay, well.
Alderman Schmidt.
No questions.
Alderwoman Florida.
No questions.
Alderman Cohen.
well, no questions.
Alderman Villa,
No questions, Mr. Chairman.
Alderwoman
I'll get 'em
Hubbard,
before you leave.
No question.
Alderwoman Ingracia.
Do you know who made that tie, Mr. Ruthsatz? The designer?
The designer. Well,
I don't think that's on the board bill.
it isn't. It's World something. I will tell you, I bought it at the Art Museum, World Museum Collection,
Thank you.
and they have it in 2 different colors.
I have a question, Dale.
Yes.
The bottom 2 windows that are partially bricked up, is he gonna have to fix that?
I think, yeah, I think that's going to, let me,
Because I know they have a
Yeah.
local ordinance and,
yeah, I think he is. This one was kind of mutilated. It was all fire damaged and it was actually on the demolition list before he got hold of it. So I think that, well, I don't know. That's an interesting question. Because it almost looks like it was originally that way. Because if you look at the brick and all, it doesn't look like it's
the
something
same
he
brick,
did.
but I doubt if it was originally that way.
Well, I guess we'd have to go back and look at a true before shot, but to
Can you-
me,
can
that
you-
looks like that might have been built that way.
Find out from Culture Resources.
Sure, sure. I would
Hearing no
agree
other
with you.
questions, I'll entertain a motion on Board Bill 77.
So moved.
Second?
Do I have a request from previous roll? Hearing no objection to previous roll, Board Bill 77 is out with a due pass. Next on the agenda, Alderman Conway couldn't make it as Board Bill 77, so,
No.
or 71, I mean.
Oh, yeah.
Board Bill 71, Conway. 3822 Flad.
Yes. Good afternoon. Okay, 3822 Flad is in the Shaw neighborhood. The developer here is Ryan and Pamela Gasser. This is a single-family residence that they acquired for about $190,000. They are going to renovate it as such as a 4-bedroom, 3.5 bath for about $189,000, and this property will be owner occupied. And Conway here is supporting 10-year tax abatement.
Alderman Villa, when you get the pictures, I want you to look at the color of the brick at the front and the back. The same photographer must have taken these pictures. Doesn't look painted. Alderman Schmidt.
What neighborhood is this?
Shaw.
Okay, thank you.
Alderwoman Florida.
Could you go over the numbers again?
Sure.
The acquisition,
190,000,
190, and the investment,
189.
89,
189,513. No, it'll be owner occupied.
Okay, owner occupied. Okay, that's what I missed. Okay.
Alderman Cohen.
I'm not sure if you would be the appropriate person, or maybe Dale, and I hate to be a broken record at this particular committee hearing about this, but, so when are we going to start using the MVA as part of a tool for how we allocate years of tax abatement out to different neighborhoods?
The MVA is included in every resolution we take before the LCRA board, and has been for probably 6 months now. So it is one
How
of
is it-
9 factors we consider when we're evaluating each project.
This is
And-
actually in, sorry,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Oh, no, go.
I was gonna say it's in market category A, so it's actually lower than average owner occupancy levels, if that answers your question at
I
all.
mean, we don't include that information in the board bill.
Not in the
but,
board bill.
We do include it in all the resolutions before. I'd be happy to share it with you.
So the
but,
LCRA board,
Yeah, sees
when they're
that on
considering
each one.
tax abatement for each one, is seeing the MVA
Right.
analysis for each.
Each
So
project.
would that be per census block then? So I believe that's the way that was configured.
Yeah, you're right, it is per census block.
Okay. All right, great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Alderman Villa.
Mr. Chairman, can the LCRA board tell us how many years of tax abatement we can give?
No.
No, they cannot, but they can recommend one way or another, and it's up to you to
Right.
put anything in your bill you'd like.
That was my understanding. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And here's the other part. The LCRA board either approves it to get it to us, or they don't approve it. And normally, if they don't approve it, Dale will tell us that it wasn't approved by the board.
Right.
Thank you.
So we have that
We
information,
do
so we'll
better
get
than
it.
that, we write it right into the bill.
Alderwoman Hubbard,
No question.
Alderwoman Ingracia.
No question.
Hearing no other questions, I'll entertain a motion on Board Bill 71.
So moved. Second. Previous roll.
Hearing no objection to previous rule, Board Bill 71 is out with a due pass. Next on the agenda is Alderman Conway, Board Bill 78.
I'll do that one. This is one that probably a lot of people are familiar with. There are the photos down. This is property at 3150 through 56 South Grand, but it also goes around the corner. It includes 3515 Juniata. And it's the old savings and loan building next to the Commerce Bank that has been a lot of things, and people have been working on it for a long time. For a while, was a temporary location of the library down the street when they were renovating the library. And as probably many of you know, David Bailey has purchased this building and is in the process of renovating it as the second Rooster. You've probably all eaten at Rooster downtown, but this will be a second one, and I think larger than the one downtown, but it will also include a whole bakery that he'll use for all his restaurants. So the building was acquired for $600,000. He's spending a little more than $2 million renovating it. He's using federal and state historic tax credits because it's a mid-century building, so it qualifies for that. All in all, there's 10,000 square feet. He'll have over 100 employees there, full and part-time. And in the back, there's a space for 99 parking spaces. He would like to do some other things behind it to the east, though, in subsequent phases, but that's not part of what we have before us today. So there's a 3,000 square foot bakery going in, as I said, a patio, and he hopes to open late this summer.
Alderman Schmidt.
Fantastic.
I didn't mention, but Alderman Conway is supporting a 10-year tax abatement.
Fantastic.
Alderwoman Florida.
Fantastic.
Alderman Cohen.
It is fantastic.
It's a super exciting project.
Well, at least you didn't say it was fantastic.
So I guess my question is more so around, you said this is a $2 million renovation project. I'm assuming, I think it's actually one of the first that we're using historic preservation tax credits for a mid-century modern building, which I think we may have done with the old Saucer building where the Starbucks and.
Well, that's true. No, I think the first one in St. Louis was the .400 building, the old Pet Milk building.
Right, right. So I mean, it's really exciting that we get to continue to see these buildings rejuvenated. I am curious though, why is this, I mean, typically I feel like when we have projects that are of this scope with $2 million, you know, that there's usually like a TIF or something that becomes involved instead of a tax abatement.
Well, this is at the really low end of a TIF. I mean, usually if people walk in, we say, you know, you really need a $3 or $4 million project to, it's just that the soft costs related to TIF are so great that I mean, it's really up to the developer to put pencil to paper and see what makes sense to him. But I don't think there'd be anyone at a $2 million level that would find they'd be ahead by using a TIF.
All right, thank you. I appreciate the clarity.
Alderman Villa.
No other than to applaud this gentleman's continued investment in the city.
I know. He's a neighborhood resident, too.
No questions?
Alderwoman Hubbard.
I'll echo the fantastic. I love Rooster, so I'm glad that they're building a new location.
Yeah, you may be aware he's acquired still another building downtown on Olive Street to put a barbecue restaurant in.
Alderwoman Ingracia.
I'm not excited about this at all.
She wants it in her ward.
I'm jealous.
Chairman, is this rooster grandfathered in? I think not.
Okay.
Hearing no other questions, I'll entertain a motion on Board Bill 78.
Previous roll.
I think they both motioned.
You got that, the motion and the second, both from the Alderman of the 25th?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He did both.
Hearing no objection to previous roll, Board Bill 78 is out with a due pass. Board Bill 79, also Alderman Conway.
It's on South.
Yes. Board Bill 79 is 3806 Flat. This is also in the Shaw neighborhood. The owner-developer here is Maria Witt. She acquired this single-family residence for $185,000, just over 2,700 square feet. She'll be renovating it as a 5-bedroom, 2-bath, and the estimated construction costs are just at $100,000, and this property will also be owner-occupied. And Conway also supports 10-year tax abatement on this property.
Alderman Schmidt.
No questions.
Alderwoman
Wait a minute,
Florida.
what is this one? Because Jane just looked at me like crazy. Oh, it's the same, I mean, it's the same issue. So I'm not going to ask again. You can ask, Alderman.
It's my turn.
Okay.
Alderwoman Florida.
Thank you, Shane. The investment cost seems a little low. It's a 2-to-1 conversion?
Yeah. You have my photos. I believe so.
Because it looks like it's, right now, a single, two-family,
Oh,
a larger two-family, and it's 2,700 square foot, so 100,000 in investment seems just a little low. Doesn't it, Dale?
yeah, I wouldn't disagree.
What the interior is like, you know.
Yeah. Some are simply just removing walls and
Okay.
new finishes and that sort of thing, nothing too extensive.
I'm holding on to pictures. Okay, thank you.
Alderman Cohen.
You know, this one in particular is very much a bit of a challenge for me. This home is much nicer than many of the homes that are in my neighborhood. And so
Of course.
you know, I just, not only in terms of, I mean, its size and, I mean, grandeur in terms of, you know, I mean, it looks like it's actually a fairly good building. Like, it's in decent condition. Like, railings are there. Windows look like they're, you know, well-maintained. It looks like it's been freshly tuck-pointed. 10 years and for the amount of investment that's going into this property, you know, I mean, I would really like to speak with the sponsor of the bill before I made a vote on it, but that's my own.
It's right behind Flora Place.
Yeah, I mean, for a variety of reasons, I feel really I just personally feel uncomfortable with this. You know, of course, don't want to vote no on something without having the benefit of talking with the sponsor of the bill over it, but, you know, I mean, if it came down to it, I suppose I would have to on this one. I don't understand that.
You can talk to him tomorrow.
If you'd like to hold the bill, that would be wonderful, but I don't also want to hold things up.
Alderman Villa.
No questions, Mr. Chairman.
Alderwoman Hubbard.
No questions.
Alderwoman Ingracia.
I share the concerns of the alderman from the 25th.
Hearing no other questions, I'll entertain a motion on Board Bill 79.
So moved?
Second. Call the roll.
Alderman Schmidt,
Pass.
Alderwoman Florida,
Aye.
Alderman Moore, Alderman Cone,
No.
Alderwoman Howard, Alderman Villa,
Aye.
Alderwoman Hubbard,
Aye.
Alderwoman Ingracia,
No.
Chairman Ortman.
Aye.
I'm sorry.
Sure, aye.
Alderman
It
Schmidt,
doesn't make any difference. Aye.
5 aye votes, 2 no votes.
Board Bill 79 is out with a due pass. The last on our agenda is a board bill that we probably don't have pictures for this time. We heard it the last meeting that we had. and there was some clarification on when the building gets tore down, what the assessment would be. Would it be on the vacant building, or would it be on the vacant land? So Dale did the homework, and I put it in everyone's box. I don't know if we remember that, but you want to rephrase?
Well, actually, I did a little more homework this morning. We met with the assessor, his right-hand man, and their attorney, and talked about 2 or 3 issues, and this was one of them, to try and get it crystal clear, and it still is not crystal clear in my mind, but it depends on a lot of things. It depends on when the building that's on the property now gets torn down. It depends on what is on the property as of January 1st, in this case of 2015, whether it's a vacant lot or whether there's a building on it, and when the new structure gets finished. If we use the standard, I call it the express method under LCRA for a 10-year tax abatement, I think, as I'm interpreting the assessor, that it would probably be based only on the value of the land, and that building would not be part of the assessed value that would be frozen essentially for a 10-year period. If the building that's there now gets demolished in 2014 and the new building gets built in 2014, or the new building gets built in 2015, and we use the Chapter 353 method, which is, if you look at any of our bills, there are sort of 2 alternate ways of getting tax abatement. This would be the second one. Then I think it's very clear that there would be an in lieu of tax payment related to the value of that existing house, and then the taxes on the land would also be paid. So I stand by the recommendation I gave earlier. If you really want to make sure that the value of that house will be frozen along with the value of the land for a 10-year period, we'd have to go to the process of, once the new house is finished, we'd pass the title of the property through a redevelopment corporation, and many of you know that years ago we established the SLDC Redevelopment Corporation, and so most people tend to use that rather than forming their own, which they have every right to do according to state statute. And then there'd be a 10-year tax abatement, and it would have that in lieu of tax payment, which would offset the cost or be equal to the cost, the taxes being paid on that house. So we can either, I think we can ourselves, LCRA can insist that that's the way we do it, or we could amend the bill and get rid of that first paragraph, the express way of getting tax abatement, and leave only the latter part, which would require tax abatement to go through the in lieu of tax payment through 353. I don't know if you all, it's challenging to understand it all, but that's essentially what it boils down to.
Do you know what the taxes are now in the building?
You know, I didn't bring that with me, I don't think, but I do remember that about 20% of the taxes of the land and 80% are on this little building. And of course, it's not a big building, but that's how it's broken down.
Yeah. And the reason I'm saying I can't see that it's over $300 or $400 in the condition of the building.
Well, you're right. It's not a big number.
So
Right.
we're really not talking a lot of money anyway.
You're right.
You know, and the important thing is to get the construction going, get the jobs going, and get a family in there living, you know, so, and make Alderman Vollmer happy so he doesn't call me from his hospital bed again, you know, because his bill didn't come out of committee. So, anyway, we can try to work on that a little bit in the future and see if we really want to address it or, you know, just keep going.
Well, I think you raise a good point. When we're talking about larger buildings, or maybe like industrial or commercial buildings, it's a much bigger issue than a little house like this. It really doesn't, we're talking about, you know, maybe $300 a year difference one way or another. So it really doesn't.
What's 300 times 10?
Well, there you go.
Not
You're
a lot
right.
of money.
You're right.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion on Board Bill 20.
So moved.
Second. Call the roll,
Alderman Schmidt?
please.
So there's no discussion?
Oh, let me back up. Well, I thought we did discussion last time, but Alderman Schmidt, you want to ask Dale questions?
Yeah, I just think it's helpful and important that we know on this, because frequently, obviously, what I'm telling folks is that, you know, the city continues to essentially be whole, and the reason why we're doing this is because we want to encourage that development to happen. But when the city's not going to be whole, it's important for us to know how we're going to lose, and in this case, it's de minimis. So that's helpful for us to know, but it could be important in the future. I also think that it would be helpful, I mean, we do have the sustainability plan checklist. We also have, I think we still have the checklist that shows us what the conditions of the property are and so forth. And one of my colleagues had mentioned this before. I mean, if we're doing this by the numbers, it would be helpful to see how this fits with the market value analysis, because in some areas we may want to be looking at something different than we would in other areas, and while it would be nice for us all to know each one of the census blocks, I can't claim that I know that.
No, we could add that either to our presentation or actually put it in the bill, whichever you prefer.
Yeah, and I would leave that obviously to the chairperson, but whatever allows us to get that information, because truly we are supposed to be, and many of us are honestly trying to do that if we can. So that's
It
all.
is, though, I will mention,
Okay.
in the plan attached to the bill.
It actually tells us what the market value analysis has.
Let me, there it is. I just have one of them in front of me. It happens to be page 3, and this happens to be the one we're just talking about, Elizabeth. But in a paragraph titled Relationship to Local Objectives,
It
in
does
this
say
one, it
market
says
type.
the proposed owner-occupied house will further enhance the strong owner occupancy level of market type B category in the 2014 MVA.
Okay. So it's market B. Thank you.
Yeah. And that's in all the bills, the plans attached to the bills that we've had over here probably in the last 6 months.
Okay. So if you're in J, how much tax abatement can you get?
I can't even tell you what J is.
It's the lightest yellow you can get. It's not green, or it's not blue or purple.
Oh, it's the one that has not enough residents in it.
Could be, well,
That's-
no, industrial is gray.
Yeah, it's essentially industrial. That's the one that doesn't have enough residents in it to really
Why don't we say
qualify.
I? If you're I, you can get, my point is you get 10 years of tax abatement.
Well,
if you're
probably
an
so,
I.
because you're down in the worst area, sure. Well, I shouldn't say that,
Okay.
but it scores at the bottom of the list as far as MVA is concerned.
Edit that film.
So if you're in B, you get 10 years tax abatement. I'm just making a point.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it kind of depends on how the particular project fits into that one.
Okay, thank you.
Alderwoman Florida.
I feel like we're not there yet as a city.
We're not.
You know, and so that is the compelling argument to continue this type of incentive so that we can make neighborhoods whole. And I can't think of a neighborhood in the city that's refined. And with the median household income at $36,000, which is far below the national average, that we can justify our strategy to continue to try to leverage as much investment as we can to bring the properties up to true value or a higher value. So I understand that it's difficult, but I can see the compelling argument to keep, to try to do what we need to do to incentivize investment, significant investment.
Yeah. Alderman Cohen.
I mean, I don't know. I think I've made my concerns regarding this pretty well known over the last few months, but, and I don't disagree with my colleague from the 15th. You know, I think that we do have a challenge in the city, and, you know, certainly development is a really wonderful thing, and there are certain parts of our city that, you know, don't have the same issues as other parts of the city. And, you know, there are some neighborhoods, I know it's hard to believe sometimes given the amount of media pressure that is upon us sometimes, but there are neighborhoods, and there are a lot of them, in fact, in the city that are intact. And, you know, St. Louis Hills, Princeton Heights, I mean, there are quite a few that are doing very well for themselves, and thankfully so. You know, even areas right now that, you know, the Central West End, the West End in particular, downtown now has, you know, there are very few vacant buildings downtown at this juncture. There's, relatively speaking, there's few, I mean, comparatively speaking to, you know, just 10 years ago. We've seen a massive influx, you know, hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars in reinvestment in downtown. But there are still other neighborhoods that are really struggling, and it's difficult to entice development in those areas when you have fairly healthy areas that are getting the same level of incentive to go there. You know, and not to belabor, you know, the Shaw neighborhood, you know, but you know, our colleague that, you know, represents that area has worked very hard to, you know, get incentive and development happening over there over his time in office, and it's really paid off. I mean, it has transformed over the years, and it's a really magnificent place. But when there's a house, you know, any house, whether that's in, you know, the 8th Ward or the 10th Ward, it's really a challenge for me, you know, if there's a new, you know, an old home that is worth more money, that's having, you know, essentially a remodel done, or so it would appear on the surface without the details and without being able to ask questions of the, you know, sponsor. You know, just because someone's remodeling their house and spending $100,000 remodeling their house, I don't believe that, you know, should be a 10-year tax abatement to do so. I strongly believe that, you know, the tax incentives should be used for, you know, redevelopment and rehabilitation of properties in the city, not, you know, to the benefit of people who are just simply doing a remodel of a house. And so, you know, this is a little bit easier for me. This is you know, a transformative project on that block. I get that, and that's a wonderful thing. You know, and I'm glad that you came back with it and shared more info. You know, so this is a little bit easier for me to vote on and support than some of the other ones. But I think that, you know, this is a question that's going to continually come up as we, you know, move forward with the MVA and, you know, how we approach development in our city. So, thank you.
Alderman Villa.
Well, Mr. Chairman, other than, I continue to be amazed at the interest in these long, narrow lots on the hill, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
I mean, the streets are narrow. The fact that I'm Italian has nothing to do with the fact that I think the ethnic bond there is really, the younger generation is really playing to that. And they're building some pretty wonderful-looking properties, kind of like the San Francisco row houses up on some of these lots. They have to go up. So, and again, I probably too old school, but I would acquiesce to oftentimes what the alderman thinks is the right thing to do. You know, we do in fact have a disproportionate share of these, possibly from a couple of wards. I am green with envy, but I also respect the fact that that individual alderperson knows what he or she thinks should work in that particular ward. So with that, I have every intention of supporting this board bill.
Alderwoman Hubbard.
No question.
Alderwoman Ingracia.
No questions.
The one thing, I don't have any questions, I've been through enough with this. The one thing that I think we always have to remember, because we all represent our wards, you know, is whoever it is, and especially if they're not here, and Joe's probably got the best, Alderman Valmer's probably got the best excuse of anyone at this point in time, you know, but we don't know from the first phone call, you know, every situation that happened on it. And I think the best thing that we can do is something, you know, that I hate saying that I've been working on, you know, for probably 7 or 8 years now. And Jennifer, Alderwoman Florida's probably heard more than anyone, you know, about the 5-year, because I was the first one to go across the board with 5. Was it the right thing to do? It felt good, but I still have neighborhoods that probably could use 10. But I figured there had to be a start somewhere. But my point being is, you know, you have to have that discussion with Conway. I have, you know, and I think that's what we have to do, you know, and ask them, why did you do this? And hear it, you know, out of the horse's mouth. Right. And no, Conway, I'm not calling you a horse. But anyway, that's the way, you know, that we did it. And I know Jennifer, when Christine came on board, you know, we kind of talked to her, pounded on her a little bit, you know, and she's doing what she thinks is the best for her ward. You know, I mean, some people don't have any development, some aldermen don't have any development going, you know, in their areas, and, you know, they would do whatever they could get to get a developer developing, you know, so, and I, you know, Alderman Villa kind of said it the best. I mean, we still need to support that alderman. That doesn't mean that, you know, we can support him, but that doesn't mean we can't pound on him too. So, does anyone else have questions on this bill? It's been beat to death, 2 different meetings.
Yeah, I mean, there's some obvious errors that need to be corrected on the bill, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, well, you were looking at page 3, unless you've got a different one. I mean, they've got all kinds of parentheticals and things that are in here.
Oh, the parentheticals on the,
Page 3, page 5.
on the,
What,
lighting study attachment.
Yeah, it's on the board.
The exercise meeting in 3 minutes.
I'm not sure.
In the, yeah, it's the lighting study.
Colder than the temperature in this room, Alderman.
I don't know, that doesn't look at all like what I have.
Right, well, that's why I thought I'd show it to you.
Yeah, I
That's
don't
what we've
know.
got.
I don't know where that came from.
Board looks fine. but the
Do all your bills look like that?
I haven't noticed it.
attachment-
No, I mean everyone else's Board Bill 20, does
Page
it?
3 reads fine.
Page 3 is fine on yours? How did I end up with it?
I don't know.
Oh, no,
I don't
not
even
on the
know
board bill,
how
on
you
the
get it to
attachment.
look like that.
Oh,
but-
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it looks like this. That's what it looks like. It's all screwed up. It's on the redevelopment plan on pages 3 to 5. It's just,
I don't know. As I said, mine doesn't look like that at all. Somehow, maybe in the emailing, it got formatted wrong or something. I don't know.
all right.
But we'll make, Donna, let's make sure that your official bill looks, so do you have one that looks strange too? Huh?
Yeah, brackets in it, it's strange.
You talking about
Yeah,
this right
right,
here?
yeah, I don't know where that all came from.
Well, it had to come
Mr.
from-
Chairman,
That it says proposed
Okay,
redevelopment
well, let,
circulation.
You know, it just need to be delineated.
let's make sure let's make sure we send you,
Well, it's not on yours?
no, I mean, you know.
It's the formatting. Because Michael said.
Okay, well, Dale and Donna,
Okay,
why don't
we'll
you just
work
get
on that.
together so we
We'll
get.
work on that,
So
yeah.
the development plan of it gets straightened out.
Okay,
And then, in the meantime, I'll entertain a motion on Board Bill 20.
Second?
Do I have a request, or call the roll?
Yeah.
Because the last roll wasn't.
Who was the second? You were second?
I was the second.
Alderman Schmidt.
Aye.
Alderwoman Florida.
Aye.
Alderman Moore, Alderman Cone.
Aye.
Alderwoman Howard. Alderman Villa.
Aye.
Alderwoman Hubbard.
Aye.
Alderwoman Ingracia.
Aye.
Chairman Ortman.
Aye.
7 aye votes to pass.
Board Bill 20 is out with a due pass. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
We're done until after the recess.